F124 driver career mode for season 3, round number 1, the Bahrain Grand Prix. Yes, season 3 is here. We are ready to go for the season. All new car liveries, which you saw in the previous video, but you'll see them actually on track this time around. No upgrades or anything to do for this one because we did all that in the last episode. So looking at R&D, it is closer than it's ever been, I'd say. Red Bull are actually at the top, just ahead of Aston Martin. Then it's actually Ferrari just ahead of McLaren now. Then Mercedes have closed up considerably on that top group. Then a bit of a step back to RB, Alpine, Haas, Audi, who on here still are called Steak or Kick Sauber, whatever they call them on this game, because I tried to change the name of them, but it was a really confusing mod that I found the mod, but yeah, I wasn't 100% keen on actually going ahead with it because, you know, you had to download this whole cheat engine thing and it could screw up the game if you did it wrong. So I ended up not bothering with it. So it does mean that Audi will be called Steak Sauber or Kick Sauber. I think it's Kick Sauber, isn't it? But yeah, other than that, yeah, you just have to pretend that it's Audi, and I'll try and remember to keep calling them Audi. Other than that, the other teams are all pretty much the same. Some of the sponsors are a bit different now, but that's fine. Q1, we do manage to get through only just in P13 because we actually had a DRS issue. DRS was stuck closed for most of that lap, and that was my first flying lap. Went out to do a second flying lap, but the DRS was still broken, so yeah, it didn't actually go any quicker. Ollie Behrman, the slowest driver in that session in the Haas in his Formula 1 debut. Also Frederick Vesti on his debut out in, I believe, P15, so P16, he only just misses out on Q2. We get into Q2 here for us, and thankfully our DRS has now been fixed. We have DRS, so we can actually try and put a proper lap down. We're currently sitting P9, not the best position. Yeah, seem to be struggling a little bit for pace at the moment here in Bahrain. Maybe it's because, you know, we have fallen down to the 4th quickest car on the grid, and, you know, although it is very close to the top there is a little bit of a gap to Aston and Red Bull. And then, yeah, Ferrari have been performing when their car has been a bit lower than us anyway. Now that it's actually just slightly above us, they seem to be performing even more, although not for Carlos Sainz, who is out in Q2. P15 for him. He mustn't have got a good lap together. Had an issue on both of his laps there because, yeah, surprising to see him out. And it means that Yuki Tsunoda is the beneficiary of Sainz's downfall, I guess, in Q2, which means Tsunoda is through to Q3. And then we get into our Q3 lap here. My first lap on a used set of tyres, only good enough for P10, but I knew I could do better on this second lap. We're already a 10th up through the first sector, and then just out of this corner here, we gain over a 10th just through there. And yeah, just showing you new tyres, definitely a lot better. It also just generally wasn't my best lap, that first lap anyway, so you can see we're making a 10 through almost every hard braking zone corner here. So we're doing pretty well at the moment, and this will give us a better time. We should at least be able to beat Tsunoda. The two Mercedes should be beatable, because although they have caught up to us in R&D and the rest of the field, they are still kind of the fifth car on the grid. But you can see here we're almost 8/10 up on our Q1 time, just showing you that sorry, not on our Q1 time, on our first Q3 time, just showing you that wasn't a great time, and with the used tires as well. As we head down this final little straight here before the final corner, we're now over 9/10 up on our best time, which means we are definitely going to improve here. And as we get into the DRS zone on the final straight, we cross the line, and it is P7 for us. Not amazing because Perez is there in P4, but you can see from P3 all the way down to, well, P7, P8 really, it is ridiculously close, within a 10th of a second there. There's 5 drivers in the 26.8s. We are the last of those. It is Charles Leclerc, the one on the front row, and George Russell in P2. That's a good result for him at Mercedes. Can they keep that momentum going this season?
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to racing for the opening event of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to round 1 of this year's Formula 1 World Championship. We'll be racing around 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit today. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left down into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And starting next to them is George Russell. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Fernando Alonso, Perez, Verstappen, Norris, Shaw, Oscar Piastri, Hamilton, Tsunoda, Bottas, Albon, Ocon, Stroll, Sainz, Vesti, Hulkenberg, Magnussen, Joe, and Ollie Ben. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway.
Right, here we go for the Bahrain Grand Prix. It's the first round of Season 3, the 2026 season, if you want to call it that, and we are underway. It is an okay start from us, but a slightly better start from Oscar Piastri, who has overtaken us through into Turn 1. Now, there's a mix of soft and medium tyres at the start of this race, so let's see how that changes things. I believe it is briefly 3 wide through Turn 1 there, as we have gotten ahead of Norris just about, but we're now side by side with him. Piastri's also fallen back a little bit after that good start. We try and outbrake Norris into the next corner. Round the outside we go, and we get ahead of him, so we are up to P6. It is a position gained in the first sector here of Bahrain, so that is not bad to start this race off. Perez there up in P4. He hasn't moved since the start of this race. We've got a few cars around us on the mediums, like I said, both the Red Bulls of Verstappen and Norris on the mediums. Piastri also on the mediums, so considering that, he had a very, very good start, very good launch off the line. It looks like George Russell, though, has managed to take the lead of this race. What a change for Mercedes. They have been nowhere this entire career mode. I don't think Mercedes have won a single race in all, well, 2 seasons so far. We're now into the 3rd season. I don't think they've won a single race in this career mode. They may have won one in season 1, I can't remember, but I mean, last season they only had like 1 or 2 podiums. They've kind of been nowhere, but now George Russell leads this first race of the season. Can this be the turning point for Mercedes? Hamilton's not having as good of a time though. He's, I believe, in P9, just behind Piastri there. As we finish lap 1, DRS is of course now enabled, and we can get chasing after the cars ahead. As we have a look at the start, we're going to look from George Russell here. He started on the soft compound tyres and gets a better launch than Charles Leclerc, who started on the mediums and actually also under fire from Fernando Alonso through Turn 1 there. So Russell gets through, and Leclerc finds himself fighting with Alonso. He does manage to stay ahead of the Spaniard, but yeah, has lost the lead to George Russell, so that is not great for Leclerc, but there is a tyre difference there. Piastri trying to make his way through as well, of course starting on the medium compound tyres. He's now going for a move on Lando Norris, the winner of the final race of last season in Abu Dhabi. And apart from that race, Norris has seemed absolutely nowhere at Red Bull in that second season. But, and well, maybe that's going to be the case again here, because he loses a position to Oscar Piastri and is falling back here. This seems to be inevitable with Norris. He has a decent starting position and then just falls back throughout the race. At the front though, and it's only going to take till lap 3 for Charles Leclerc to get back ahead of George Russell and retake the lead of this race. Leclerc now donning the number 1 on his car because he won the championship last season. He is the 2025 Formula 1 Drivers' World Champion, and he's now back up into the lead of this race. Esteban Ocon wanting to do some good for Alpine this season. They didn't have a great time last season. I believe they finished 8th overall. It might have even been 9th. I can't even remember. They really weren't. They weren't 10th, were they? No, I think they did score a couple of points. But yeah, Ocon getting ahead of, I believe, once again, that was Lando Norris, who's really struggling here. As now we find ourselves overtaken by Oscar Piastri into Turn 1 on lap 5. Just didn't have the pace to keep with him there. He's on the medium tyres. And now Sergio Perez, further up the order, is now going for a move on Fernando Alonso into Turn 1. Once again, it's soft tyres versus mediums. The softs will start going off by this point, but Perez is managing to attack the medium runner of Fernando Alonso, and he will get past him into, I guess that's Turn 3 or 4, whatever you want to call it. Alonso then, though, next lap around gets straight back past Perez again, trying to go round the outside of that corner. Not a place where you see a lot of overtakes. They're still side by side, but Alonso will get back ahead and up into second place. These guys almost 5 seconds back from Leclerc and Russell at the front though. Leclerc is managing to lead this race still, but Russell still managing to stay there with him. As once again, the battle between Perez and Alonso rages on. Lap number 8, Perez trying to get past, not able to through turn 1. They're now going to be side by side down to the next corner. Verstappen there in the background. He's going to look to the inside, and they're going to go into here. 3 wide, little bit of contact between Verstappen and Perez, old Red Bull teammates from season 1, remember, and Perez has to back out of the move on Alonso and slot just ahead of Verstappen. That could have been damage there. I think there was a tiny little bit of front wing damage for Verstappen, but nothing major. It's now lap number 8. We seem to be coming back on Piastri again. When we have the DRS, we can just about stay with him. Not able to get him into turn 1, but we decide to try and do the bit of a switchback here. Slightly caught up with him through there, but see if we can get the switchback. We're going to go to the inside down this next straight, take the inside for this corner later on the brakes, hug the inside line and get back up into P6. And as you can see, that is just when that battle ahead with Perez, Alonso and Verstappen is also happening. At the end of lap 8 though, we are going to come in for a pit stop. We are the first of the top runners, I believe, to come into the pits, changing off our soft compound tyres. Now this is a 2-stop, something that you don't see a lot in the F1 24 game, but yeah, basically the game only gave me options of 2 stops or 3 stops. It wouldn't even let me do a 1-stop. I mean, I could have, you know, I think it would have let me start on the hards, but it would not let me choose mediums. I originally kind of wanted to do like a soft medium, but it would not let me do that. So my current strategy is soft, hard. I'm going to see later on if we can maybe change it to mediums while in the race. But yeah, on the strategy, it would not let me change to mediums and wouldn't let me do a 1-stop. So that really weird. I don't know why that is. But lap number 10, Perez is now coming to the pits as well. We actually got an undercut on him in that pit stop, but Perez is a little bit quicker than us. We're going to let him go, but we're going to try our hardest to stay with him here. As you can see, me and Perez both on the soft compound tyres, so looks like we're both going for a similar race strategy here of soft, then either hard or medium. A lot of other drivers around us on the hard compound tyres. Now Leclerc started on the mediums, is now on the hards. Does that mean that he is doing a 1-stop? It could be. Like I said, the game didn't allow me to choose that as an option in my strategy, so it's weird that other drivers seem to be doing that when I wasn't allowed. As we now have a go at Perez into turn 1, we've sat behind him for a few laps, but we seem to have a little bit more pace here. However, we're not able to make a move through turn 1, and I think we've just about lost any advantage we could have going into this corner as well, because I don't have enough ERS. If I, try and get past him there, I'm going to be completely depleted of ERS. Now, Russell managed to get past Leclerc in the pits here, kind of in the pit stops, but Leclerc will get back past Russell. And this is where it's interesting, because I think this is a 1-stop versus a 2-stop here. Leclerc on a 1-stop from mediums to hards. Russell, one of the 2-stop drivers, doing the same as us, 2 softs to a set of mediums perhaps. I can't remember if he's on softs or mediums right now, but pretty sure he is on a 2-stop. So we've actually got 2-stop versus 1-stop in F1 24. Something that you don't see very often in this game. You don't really see 2-stops in 50% races on this game, but for whatever reason here in Bahrain, it's kind of what's happening. So we are onto another, we're now onto a set of mediums. I did change it to mediums from hards because we should be able to make it to the end on medium tyres here. So we're going to go for that. We come out of the pits just behind Nico Hülkenberg and have a little bit of a swapper there. But the 2 Hasses ahead of us with Tsunoda just ahead of them as well. Looking at these, I really like the look of these Hasses, the kind of Toyota Castrol Hass. Really like this livery. We're actually going to dive down the inside of Hülkenberg into the final corner. I usually wouldn't go for a move there, but we should still get the DRS from Magnussen up ahead, so we were a lot quicker than those guys on old soft compound tyres, so we get past Hülkenberg. Now, towards the front, it is the battle for third once again. Russell's fallen back a bit. I don't know what's happened with Russell. Maybe it's the whole 2-stop thing, because I think these guys here all on the one stop. Leclerc's on a one stop. Verstappen, Alonso, Piastri also seemingly on a one stop. The drivers that started on mediums seem to be doing a one stop. The drivers that started on softs seem to be doing a two stop. So that is the state of play here as we go for a ballsy round the outside move on Yuki Tsunoda. Kind of wasn't expecting that, but our closing speed was so drastic that I just went for the move. Now the other RB of Lance Stroll is up here in P7. These guys a little bit out of position because I think these are also doing a one stop. So I've kind of budged up the order because of that. And we get up the inside of Stroll up into P7 now. But yeah, this race changing all over the place with everything that's going on. The two Hasses running next to each other, just back to back. Hulkenberg ahead of Magnussen now, actually. It's switched around. But Magnussen is going to be our first retirement of this 2026 season, this season 3. He is the first retirement with a mechanical failure. His engine will, I believe, there we go, start smoking down the front straight here, and Kevin Magnussen is out of this Bahrain Grand Prix for the first retirement of the season. Not what he would have wanted. Perez now is doing what we were doing and making his way through the RBs. We've actually once again undercut Perez, or actually I think we were ahead of him anyway, weren't we? And with him trying to get through this traffic, we are actually managing to get ahead of him a little bit here. So looking good for us to be our teammates at the moment as he makes his way past Tsunoda, and then next lap makes an easy move on Stroll as well to now put himself P8 just behind us. But yeah, for us, things not looking as good here, although we should have a bit more speed now on this two stop to try and close in. But Russell is 8 seconds ahead of me in 6th, so he's also on a two stop though, so really I guess it's more signs that we're looking at. But Tsunoda in P10 has a spin round, what is that, turn 3, turn 4. He will keep on going, but that is going to have big ramifications for this race because it will bring out the red flag. Just from that spin, the red flag is out. And yeah, Yuki Tsunoda out of this race. And here we go. It is time to go again in Bahrain. Restart after the red flag, and we get going. But this has kind of screwed over our strategy as Lance Stroll has a mechanical failure right off the line in the background there. But yeah, this has kind of stuffed over our strategy because we were a bit of a way back in 7th and 8th, but on a two-stop, we were going to be quicker than those one-stoppers towards the end. It was going to be tough to catch up to them, but we were going to be gaining on them as we have a bit of contact with Sainz through that next corner. No damage done, thankfully, but a little bit scary moment there with Sainz. But yeah, this is kind of stuffed over us two-stoppers. It's really worked for the one-stoppers because Leclerc, I mean, you can see his little red dot on the bottom left there. He has absolutely flown away from the cars ahead. He's so far ahead already. And then the rest of them, Verstappen, Alonso, Piastri, those guys all also on a one-stop now have that we don't have any advantage over them now. So they're looking really good for this race. Russell's there in P5. He's also he's the one at the front who has really lost out with this two-stop thing the most. Sainz has really actually gained from this. He started in P15. He's now up to P6 with the one-stop as Piastri on the final lap of this race is going to try and get past Max Verstappen for second place in this race. Leclerc is 4.5 seconds almost up the road. He is going to win this race, but who's going to be second? It's looking like it's going to be Oscar Piastri. At the moment, he gets ahead, and now Alonso, Piastri's teammate at Aston Martin, also trying to get past Verstappen but isn't able to. So it's looking like it's going to be Piastri second, Verstappen third, but it's going to be a Charles Leclerc win quite comfortably. We stayed with these cars ahead, but we're all in a complete DRS train. Nothing we can do, but Sainz has a bit of no ERS at the end of the lap. We almost get past him for P6 at the end, but it's going to be P7.
Charles Leclerc, what a drive, what a victory, he wins!
Well, all that off-season work clearly paying off here today, Crofty. A brilliant way to start the season with a solid victory. It's a real good confidence boost as well, and you feel like that's going to really propel them forward through to the next race coming up.
Ferrari are at it again. An excellent performance at today's Grand Prix, and they're certainly a team that know what they're doing out there.
So yes, the defending champion from last season starts the next season with a win. It's Charles Leclerc winning this race. Oscar Piastri coming through for second, which was pretty unlikely after where he qualified down in P8, but he manages with that one stop and some good driving to clinch second place. And Max Verstappen takes third. It's a good result for him and Red Bull. Red Bull are supposedly the quickest car on the grid, but it is so close at the top there. It's good for him to at least be on the podium for the first race of the season. Perhaps they can do something more than they did last season. And then Fernando Alonso fourth. George Russell, unfortunate for him to only get fifth. He was really looking like a P2 at one point. Sainz gets back to sixth, so good for him. We finish off in seventh. Perez unfortunately falls down to 8th, Albon 9th, and Ollie Behrman in 10th gets from 20th to 10th to score his first point in Formula 1 on debut after a terrible qualifying, showing that Williams has some good pace, but also he also did a one stop, technically showing as a two stop because of the change with the red flag. But yeah, the one stoppers did benefit here because of that red flag. If it wasn't for the red flag, might have been a different story. And in the constructors, well, it's not looking great for us, but at the front, Ferrari P1, 4 points ahead of Aston Martin. Then it is 15 points back to Red Bull in third, then Mercedes and McLaren joint on 10 points, 4th and 5th, and then Williams with 3 points in 6th, and then everybody else, Alpine, RB, Audi, and Haas with no points. But anyway, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.